Hey everyone, it's Patty. I wanted to show you how to make this card today. It's using the Daisy Delight stamp and punch, and what I did was I heat embossed it in white, and then the center is actually in Peekaboo Peach. So let me get started with this. I'm using Night of Navy as my card base, and then I have a piece of crumb cake, and then I have just a piece of Whisper White to stamp and cut out or punch out the daisy, and then for the sentiment. So let me put these aside, and the first thing I'm going to do is my embossing on the cardstock, the crumb cake, and this is really just kind of a background, and there's no, I guess, formal place that I stamped it. I just kind of stamped it around. So I took this daisy stamp and I stamped it in Versamark, and then I heat embossed it with white embossing powder. So when you do embossing, the heat embossing, you can use this thing called an embossing buddy, and it just helps to keep the embossing powder where you want it. So it doesn't cling anywhere else. So that's a good thing to start off with. Let me put this aside and this aside. So I'm going to take my Versamark, and this is kind of an inky or sticky ink pad, and I'm just going to get my stamp inked up here, and I'm going to go off the paper, and you can see it. You can actually just leave it like this. If you do this, use this Versamark on any cardstock, it just kind of picks up the color of the cardstock and makes it a little bit darker. So some people do that, and I've done that actually before as a background. It's kind of cute. I'm just putting them here and there, and I'm going to just put kind of pieces going off the side. I'll put one over here, and let me just put a petal here. Okay, so that's that. Next thing I'm going to do with this is get my white embossing powder, and I just keep it in one of these containers. I think it's Rubbermaid or something like that, and I have a spoon in it. Just makes it easier to use, and you just kind of pour it over, and you'll see where it sticks, and it just adheres to wherever you stamped. Sometimes it gets, stuck in other areas. You can just get a paintbrush and brush that off, or blow it off kind of, but you just want to make sure that it's only where you want to have it heated to. So let me just, looks like I have a little bit missing here. Okay, that looks good. So let me put the top on here, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss. I'm going to start heat embossing, and then I'm just going to stop the camera so you don't have to listen to it the whole time. But I just wanted you to see what it looks like. This is my Stampin' Up! Heat gun, and I like to just let it run a few minutes or a few seconds, get it warmed up, and you'll see that it starts melting the embossing powder right to the card, and you should see it kind of turn once it's heated up. So here, I'm hoping you can see that it's turning really white. So I'm going to stop the video. I'll be right back when I'm done with this. Okay, I'm back. So everything has been heat embossed, and if you look, you can see that it should be all shiny. You can always go back and hit it again if you missed a spot. So then the center of it, I did this in the Peekaboo Peach. I tried Daffodil Delight, and it really didn't show up too well. It just kind of looked murky a little bit. So what I'm using this time, since I don't have a embossing powder with Peekaboo Peach, I'm going to use a clear embossing powder. And what you can do is you can ink up in your Versamark, and then hit it right into the color, and then quickly heat emboss it. You don't want to wait too long, because the regular ink dries a little bit faster than the Versamark. So I'm going to just Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to hit this and then hit this. And then go down, I believe. Okay. And I just want to make sure I don't get orange in my Versamark. So, which I did the last time. So I'm going to just stamp it off on paper a little bit. It's not going to hurt the Versamark. I just would prefer not to have it all different colors. So I have that done. Let me just cover this up. And then I have my clear embossing powder. And I really wouldn't wait too long, you know, put it aside and wait on this. I want to make sure I get my embossing powder on it. So this is the clear, so it'll pick up whatever color you stamped. So let me just get this over here. Go right over all of them. That looks good. Let me just cover this up. And we'll heat this one up, and I'll do this real quick. And here's the last one. Okay, so that's done. So we have our background, and I can decide which way I want it. The next thing I'm going to do is stamp my my actual daisy here, and I'm going to stamp that in the crumb cake. So I'll just stamp it down on a scrap piece of white Whisper White cardstock. Stamp that down. And then I also did the Peekaboo Peach on the inside. And then I'll punch that out with the punch. This way it's all kind of coordinated. Okay. So we'll get the punch, and I've shown this punch before. It locks, and then you can use the upside down, or the bottom of it, to kind of line everything up. And that looks good. So we'll punch that out. So we're moving right along. The other thing is I have a piece of 1 inch by 3 inch to do the thank you. I wanted to make it, you know, as small as I could. So I really cut the piece of cardstock way down to fit just the words. So let me line that up on the grid paper. Make sure that looks good. And there we go. So let's get this going. I used a piece of this burlap ribbon, which is really pretty, to go around it, and then I used a piece of the thick twine to tie a bow. So let's get this down. This is burlap ribbon. It's really pretty. It looks very kind of rustic, and I think it went pretty well with this card. So I can go this way. I kind of didn't like that I covered up that one. I think I'm going to go this way with it. So let me cut a piece of it. And what I did was I really, I put a little bit of adhesive in the back of this just to hold it down, because it was kind of coming up a little bit. And then I'll wrap it around the back. So let's try to place it. Let me see how this is going to look. I always play around with placement. Let me just try it this way. Trying to get the most out of my daisies. So just kind of play around with it and see what you like. Let me go up a little bit with this. So I think this is good. I won't fiddle with it too much. So I'm going to put this down, and then I'll put some snail on this side. I put a little bit extra down because this is pretty bulky. Okay, and then what I did was I took this twine and I just went around like 3 times, and actually I'm going to start it in the back so I don't have a knot in the front, and I'll just go around, and then I separately did the bow. So I just want to go around 3 times and just add that to the adhesive I already have down there. Let me just put a little bit more down here. Okay, and then I took, I just took a bunch of this, folded it in half, and I made a bow with 2 pieces just to give it a little bit, you know, more, sorry, I'm trying to think while I'm talking, a little bit, you know, more to the bow than just 1 piece since it's so thin. So I did this, and then once I adhere it, I will decide how long I want it. So let's put this together. Excuse me. I used dimensionals for the daisy. So we'll put that down. And then I also used it for the sentiment. We'll put that down there. And then the sentiment, I put 3 dimensionals down, 1 on each end, and then 1 in the middle. Okay. And I just love this combination of the Night of Navy against the crumb cake. I think it's really pretty. And I will use a glue dot for this. Let me just get that out. So these are these mini glue dots, and what I do is I just take one and I kind of roll it and put it on the knot. And then you can just place this wherever you want it. So it kind of looks like it was tied onto there. And then I'm just going to clip these and adhere this to the base. I just think it's kind of, you know, a rustic looking card with the colors, and it's pretty. So let's get this down, and I'm going to just use snail for this. Down there as well, and we will be done. Okay, so those are the 2 cards I made, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's really a lot of fun to play around with the embossing powder, especially with the clear, because you can really get any color. So thanks for your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.